There we go. Hello.
Hey, morning. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Phoebe.
Hi, Linda, Phoebe, and Petra.
Hey, Sophie.
I think it's the first time Linda is here, isn't it? I have had, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Linda.
Welcome.
Have you seen Phoebe and Petra before?
Only on the Q&A.
Yeah, I've had them in
Yeah.
Q&A. And Liz. Hi. And Yahira. Yes.
Hey, welcome back.
Hello. You so missed.
I don't hear you. That could be my fault. Hold on one second. Nope. That's actually okay. Can somebody say something? Oh, yep. That
Exactly.
worked.
Yeah.
That worked.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Thanks.
And Jay. So good to see you, Jahira. You have,
Okay. Does it work now?
yes, you've been missed.
I missed you. I
It's been a long time.
know. Months.
Uh, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, so nice.
Good morning, Leela.
And Rowena
Hey.
and Tom. Oh, and Julie's there. Lisa. So nice. Do you know what you want to do for the meditation?
Kind of.
Should we just get started with that?
Sure.
When
Sure.
because it looks like Europe is
Yeah, gonna be an hour late.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, right. We're gonna do the um pinning ourselves so that it's big for the meditation.
I'll turn that off.
Yeah. Or not. Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay. So for today's meditation, I wanted to try something a little bit different. It's going to be a combination, I think, of first and sixth fetter. Um, the primary goal is that I feel like we don't talk enough about the use of relaxation when we're doing these kind of investigations, and we often tend to put way too much effort into trying to see what we're looking for. And a lot of times, just the simple act of relaxing can actually have a complete shift in your experience. So that's what I'm hoping to explore today. We'll see. One never knows what's going to come out. So let's see how it goes.
Lovely.
I, I invite you to get comfortable, find a posture where you can be relaxed, but also alert and attentive. If you're sitting up, sit up tall. Give your spine a little stretch upwards, feeling like your head is being held by a helium balloon that's pulling it erect but gentle. And then with the next exhalation, just let all that tension drop. It might help if you are sitting upright to just rock gently side to side a few times to find a center of gravity. And then rock forward and backwards a few times so that you find a place of absolute stillness. We want the spine to be supporting the body without having all of the muscles working to keep us upright. And if you are lying down or reclining, just feel the weight of the muscles relaxing with each exhalation. Take a couple more slow, deep breaths with the eyes closed. And with each successive exhalation, feel like you're leaving behind the worries of the day and the thoughts of what might be coming up later today or tomorrow. And then with the next exhalation, allow all of the muscles to just relax. Give up the tension. Give up the grasping. And with the next exhalation, feel gravity pulling you down, 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 ceasing to resist that pull. Just be relaxed. You can allow your breath to return to normal and keep the eyes closed for now. I would like for you to, as we often do, scan briefly from the top of the head down to the soles of the feet. And what you are looking for is anything which stands out to you in the physical sense, in the physical body, as being you, the location of what you take yourself to be. Take a few moments to gently scan downwards, noticing any points of tension or contraction, feelings of light or energy, something that feels like the experience of what it is to be you is centralized here. This is the point where it all gets known. And if you feel like you've already seen through self and you know that there's no point in there, still look to see if there is a place where even the sounds that are being heard right now are being heard. Is there a place where the darkness behind the eyes or the strange light patterns that might be showing up behind the eyes is being seen from? Is there a place which is aware of all of the sensations happening in the body, even if it feels like it's not distinctly your body? And make note of that spot. Now, wherever that point was that felt like you or the place where all of the information is being congregated and understood, hold that spot gently in your awareness. I want you to use your attention, but it's a very lightly gripped attention. In fact, when you are feeling this space in the body, this sensation in the body, I want you to feel the space around that sensation. So holding that point of tension or collapsed attention, that feeling of awareness that's in there, I want you to feel the air around it, that feeling of spaciousness which surrounds that sensation. Whether it still feels like it's within your body or just in a vast empty space, just notice that sensation. And you feel into that space that seems to be either around that sensation or around the boundary of the body or around the boundaryless area that you once took to be your body. We're still aware of whatever the sensation is that appears to be you, but we're also aware of all of the space that contains that sensation. If you feel any tension in the body that is coming with the suggestion that I'm giving, if there's any confusion, if there's any struggle, take a deep breath, and with the exhalation, let that tension and the struggle and the confusion go. What we're asking you to see is a very simple experience. It's nothing that needs to be grasped at or clung to or understood with the mind. Come to that open, spacious awareness feeling around the localized parts that feel like you. From this wide open perspective, does the part that once felt like you, that felt like the concentrated locus of what you took yourself to be, does that still feel like that concentrated you? Has it changed depending on where you're holding the rest of your awareness? If it still feels like you, still keeping in your awareness this open, boundaryless space around it, observe the feeling that is there, this feeling of contraction within the openness, and feel what seems to be identifiably you about this sensation. Does the sensation itself tell you anything? Is it the mere familiarity of this sensation which seems like it is describing a you, or it is referring to something which you have taken to be you for a very long time? And notice if the sensation itself can actually contain that feeling of familiarity, or if there is another thought which is being enlisted to create this experience. So staying with this open, spacious awareness around the boundary of the body, around the sensations, I want you also to recognize what mental images and mental voices or other sounds are appearing also within this open, boundaryless space. Notice if these images and sounds are cooperating with these feelings of sensation in the body to create that sense of familiarity and localization of you, the witnesser and the knower. Again, hold this very lightly. We want to be as relaxed as possible while we are seeing these appearances in the mind and in the body space just arise and then pass by. Let go of any expectations for any outcomes. Simply feel if there's anything that feels like a localized, personalized you appearing anywhere inside of this empty, boundaryless spaciousness. And if something shows up, very gently, with the curiosity of a child, just witness it and see if it's really telling you what you think it is. Now, keeping this open, spacious feeling around the body, I want you very gradually to open your eyes. Try to hold on to this openness even as the light starts coming in and as images start clarifying and shapes and colors start to become recognizable objects. In keeping this open spaciousness, pick an object somewhere across the room for you and place your gaze gently on that object. A mistake that we sometimes make when we're doing sixth fetter exercises, especially the visual ones, is to really strain to try to see things in two dimensions or to collapse the feeling of distance and that to see things right up at zero distance in front of the face or inside the mind. But there can be so much focus and so much struggling in that effort that we actually subvert our own efforts of the exercise. So what I'd like for you to do is to keep that gentle attention on one object and then bring the gaze to incorporate more of your peripheral vision. Widen it out, feeling how that peripheral widening of your visual field correlates with the physical expansion, that open spaciousness that you've been feeling. Notice how it's all one of a piece. This feeling of peripheral openness extends from the body to the visual field. And just keeping your eyes gently trained on that object not expecting it to do anything, not wanting anything to happen, just being curious, keeping the peripheral vision also in focus. You're viewing the screen, the entire visual field in front of you, as one unified plane. And then, again, absolutely gently, absolutely lightly, notice if there is any point in your experience, in this open, boundaryless bubble, that feels like it is a point that is looking out at the scenery in front of you. What is it that is actually seeing this view in all of its wide panorama? Whatever comes up, hold that, hold that appearance within that open spaciousness. And see if it is really the location of a seer. Is it just more sensation? Is it just another vague mental image of your face or your body? Something which is assumed to be taking in everything in. Stay relaxed. If you feel tension in the body, again, with the next exhalation, let it all out. Keep your vision evenly distributed across the peripheral field, as well as still gazing at the object in front of you. And as you relax that sense of a seer, just notice what happens to the visual field. So when you practice this way from now on, I'd like you to remember this exercise. And remember that no matter what kind of inquiry we are doing, the most important thing to do is to come at it with a feeling of relaxation and gentle curiosity. We're neither forcing anything to happen nor expecting anything to happen. You can leave all of that aside and just witness what is appearing in front of you in your experience in that moment. Seeing life without the fetters of without the fetters that are filtering your experience leaves things exactly as they are. That's all we're trying to see. We're trying to see the world without all of the layers of filters that we normally approach it with. It's that simple. And sometimes all it takes to see through these fetters, to have the filters fall away, is to simply let go, relax the body and the mind, relax the judgments and the assumptions and the expectations, and just be with what is. See if you can hold this spaciousness and this feeling of panorama and peripheral openness as long as you can throughout the meeting today. And see if you can even carry it into your life later on. Just taking one more deep breath. Let everything go and come back to the present moment. Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, babe.
Thanks.
I really like that part about oh, maybe we should put it out on. I really like that part about also that we talked about this morning. We are preparing retreat at the moment. I'm gonna say something about that in a moment, but I like that part that you pointed out about familiarity, that a lot of the selfing that we experience and the I that is here, that is, it has more to do with some kind of familiarity to a contraction that is here, a restriction that is here, and that is me. Um, and keep zooming in and out of that, noticing the space between that familiarity around it, and just hold it very, very lightly, and noticing what part of identification that is with all the things where the mind keeps identifying and put labeling on, and just detach. It's very much what we talk about at the moment.
Absolutely.
As you might know, we're gonna have a retreat from the 10th to the 16th of June, where the theme is the bubble of reality, how you view everything, how everything you think you see and hear, and every interaction you think you have is based on your own reflection of you into everything that you think is on the outside. And then we go through the 10 fetters.
Yeah.
So it's very much a retreat where we are unhooking all identification. So it's very much about seeing what you think is there, but viewing it from the 5th floor, where there's no hooks into anything, a bit like you just experienced with the inquiry now. And obviously creating all that we talk about all the time, and we are in the midst of creating all the material for it. There's going to be sofa sits every day. We're making it so it's like a full package deal that you can pick and choose how much you want to do. And we also want to make it so if you can't do all of it now, then it's available for you at any point to do. So you can, again, throughout the existence of YouTube, you will have access to the playlist, and you can,
or our channel.
So there will be a morning meditation that is setting the tone for you getting this feeling. There will be a detox add-on that you can choose, where we're suggesting different things about good how can I say it? Good things to implement into your life. So it's very much third fetter, the self-care of no self, that is going to be in the detox add-on, where it's also going to be about embodiment and exercises and all of that. Then there's going to be a sofa session where we talk about the topic of the day.
And then a Q&A each day for a couple hours, which is very much like
this we have here. And then there's going to be an evening meditation that is wrapping up the day.
It's going to be more inquiry. Well, this style of inquiry meditation that's going to investigate the fetters that we've talked about that day.
Yeah. And it's going to be put into a closed playlist that you have access to, and you can just use the material as much as you want and whenever you want. And if you feel like doing a retreat later on, you have everything for you to do that as much as you want.
Relive it over and over again.
Over and over and over. Yeah. So it's very much where our attention is at the moment in creating the material. And you're also getting all the written material, obviously. So yeah.
Plug over.
Yeah. Plug, what's that?
Plug, like advertisement.
Oh, advertisement. And now a word from our
Now from
sponsors.
sponsors.
Yeah. There's something else I wanted to say. No, it's just that that today we have kind of like a hard stop at 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
Because
or possibly slightly before. I do have another session after this and need a little bit of prep time beforehand.
So I think that was it.
Yeah. All right.
Off we go.
Off we go. Rowena, believed you were first. Let's get us pinned. Hold on one second.
Hi there.
And, pinned.
So I just wanted to
there we go.
Oh, love your hair.
yeah, I know. I
Oh,
cut it.
nice.
Always either growing it or otherwise changing it every while.
It's really nice. It really suits you. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So I noticed something curious. Actually, I did mention it on Todd on when with the last meditation, because there's very little background noise that I could focus on. So I thought, okay, I'm going to focus on Todd's voice. And I found that with voices, if I don't have to listen, then it's all part of a field and there's no hearer. It's just sounding. But because I was listening, or there was let's say cognizing, I'm not really sure how to, and it has evolved since then. There was really quite strong aversion. I think it was more like perhaps it obviously must have related to some sort of, although I couldn't get it personally, there was nothing like maybe there was too personal with this, although on some I've noticed on some circumstances, like I wish it would stop. I wish it would stop, that I don't have to listen. It wasn't like that at all with you, Todd. But yeah, so I just realized, and I remember once Lelia was talking about her mother, and you were talking about sort of like bandwidth of the different sensations. So I was sort of thinking of it like that and realizing how natural hearing and natural seeing, there's like no evidence of seeing coming from eyes or hearing coming from, it seems like it's a full, just like a space experience. But then there was this closing down and contraction, and yeah, so I'm playing with that, and I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Any comments?
I'm curious, when you were saying about the aversion that was coming up, was it specifically because, can you tell me more about that? Because I have a couple.
I think it's about stress of understanding. It's like some sort of stress of,
is that grasping or maybe?
Yeah, it's a grasping. It's like a push pull because it's not coming easy, and so therefore and of course there's more efforting, and therefore it's like I wish it would go away, because I wish I could just go and just be in a soundless soundscape, or a cognizing-less soundscape type of thing. Yeah, so I guess it's sort of stressed cognizing or something funny. I'm much better, much calmer to read actually than to hear,
It's an interesting thing too, because in that moment you have a couple different things that you can investigate, and one of which is the sort of fifth fetter pushing away of, I would love to be in silence right now, and yet here's this obnoxious voice just going on and on and on, and and I can't let it go, and I can't just hear it as sound. And so you can have that looking at the feeling of resistance, and where is that happening, and why is this not okay that there is this sound going on? Where is this alternate version that you're creating of this beautiful soundless cavern that you can be in? So looking into the aversive element like that. But the other thing is, if it feels like you are struggling to make meaning out of the sound, it's a really interesting investigation there to figure out what is actually going on that feels like you are straining.
Mm.
And you might find that there's actually physical muscles that you are actually like tensing up in trying to grasp, right? So if you let go of those muscles, take a deep breath, relax that tension, see how much of the grasping for meaning is actually coming out of this unnecessary physical tension of trying to put your attention on something, and see if that itself actually starts to relax that aversive leaning toward it and the illusion that you really are struggling. Because I mean, it is obviously if something is in a second language, there's like another level of processing that kind of goes on that can make it harder to, especially if you're learning the language, to grasp at it. But if it's our native, first language anyway, that just happens so fast that that immediate translation of sound into meaning is super, super fast. And so if it feels like you're straining to make sense out of the concepts or something that's being put forth in it, notice that it's not really like struggling to make sense of each individual word. There's trying to put meaning to the context and the whole continuum of the sentence and the meditation and whatever's being spoken about. And then what is coming up in the body in reaction to that struggling to make sense out of it.
I'm I'm also thinking also just, when you start to notice where that trying to make sense of, if there's a little, appendix in the second fetter about it, if there's anything about, um, uh, you know, any kind of trauma or feeling, stupid or feeling guilty or feeling lesser than or feeling, if there's any kind of snippet about that, what would happen if you just sit here and that grasping that you have to cognizing what is said and understanding and making a meaning and coming with a reply, what if none of that happens? Is there any kind of little appendix, a little bubble of second fetter stuff that needs to be looked at?
Well, it's interesting. So right now, it's relaxed and there is no. However, I can feel, and this is an area that I've been looking at, and it's very much occipital and sort of like at the top of the neck area that is sort of like clenching, and it doesn't seem to have a second fetter because there's no pressure. But I could see that if there was pressure, like somebody else was there and it was like in an ordinary conversation and there wasn't this level of relaxation, then I think that then there would be more selfing resistance. So the sort of two things going on. One is somehow, something a bit more mechanical, or I don't know, some sort of filter that just needs to be gently looked at, listening without having somebody hovering over my shoulders or being on the phone or something. And then there's the other, so they're intertwined, they sort of intertwined. I guess, so there's the first dart of the meaning making, or making sure that I've got the right meaning and needing to hold on to all the words so that I've got it exactly right, type of thing. And then that and then on top of that, if there would be something else would come up with, which is more selfing, has a selfing flavor, because this really doesn't. It seems like it's sort of maybe pre-verbal or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's already, since I noticed it, it's already sort of softened, and so I'm playing with it, but I thought I would share.
Thank you for
It's
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's amazing too how sometimes just recognizing these things automatically starts to kind of weaken them and give them Yeah. Less.
Yeah, and also when we slow down, really see the layers of it.
Yeah.
You know, that where
Yeah.
we used to just, zoom straight to that, then really see all the layers that are happening. It makes it so much easier when everything is just unhooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowena.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Nice. Sophie?
Sophie. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
Hey, Ben.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh. Heart is racing.
It's okay. What's going on?
This happens every time I come to speak up. And it's really beautiful having your meditation and just really paying attention to how that's assumed as me. It's like, oh yeah, look, that's me. A heart is racing. It's anxiety. It's me. I am anxious. Yeah, I'm interested to get your thoughts, to hear your thoughts. Yesterday was pretty wild. It's like a hurricane pass, and yeah, for whatever reasons of what I've been doing a lot of recently, just concentrated time on inquiry and meditation, and feels like things are really clearing, in different ways. And
Amazing.
yeah, it just feels like this really strong, big, like, yeah, like something's just like, what the fuck? Like really deeply, shatteringly, like, what? What? Like, and I feel like there's a dynamic that's become really clear. And this is kind of part of where I'm interested to hear what you say. It's been a relationship a connection I've been a part of for a few years. And there's like how I'm seeing it now is like something just feels off. But it's felt like this for years.
Hmm.
And I've just come to this place now of like, fuck. I don't know. It feels like self-abandonment, It feels like, and I've had these experiences before in relationships with men where I've stayed in something that's felt toxic. And I'm curious as what you have to say about the word toxic. Something that's felt toxic, either because I had no idea what was going on, or then when I became this spiritual identity, before stuff then shifted differently, I then felt I had to stay in this thing because I was doing the work. And if I left, I then wasn't doing the work. It was like this really weird thing. And I love this person, but something just feels really off. And it has done for years. And I'm just now in this place of like, wow, okay, there's a dynamic with, I don't want to talk about them too much because I don't want, they might come on here at some point. They're in non-duality. But there's this dynamic with someone else.
I just want to say that whatever is going on in you, you can talk about that completely freely without talking about anybody else because it's not about them.
No,
you don't need to. When I had my course in Denmark, it was like a rule that nobody was allowed to share anything personal about themselves. They were not allowed to say if they were married, if they had a job, if they had children, anything. So it would if they were addressing something happening with their husband, they would say, a person in my life activated a feeling of neglect. And then we will look at the feeling of neglect. It has nothing to do with anybody. Everybody out there are just a diversion from us to talking about the real deal. So you don't need to mention anything personal about the other person. You don't need to be concerned or worried about them coming on and knowing that it's them you're talking about, because it's not about them. This is about you. This is about that there's a clarity happening in your life. Something has been lying like a little sprout for years and years and years. So sometimes you have had a clarity to see it very, very clearly, but for some reason you have put soil on top of the little sprout over and over and over. And now it's just clear that there's something completely fucked up here. There's something, a dynamic that is unhealthy, that doesn't work in you. It's got nothing to do with the other person. It's a clarity in you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me back to that. That's helpful. I like that a lot. Yeah, okay. So it's there's a dissonance in the way that we connect emotionally and in the way that we communicate. And there is like this consistent feeling like it's not meeting. And there has just been this constant attempt to meet, and it's not meeting. And it's like, I wouldn't do this with people normally, but because there's been this attachment to this, and I'm curious to see, God, there's a few things in here. I'm curious to see if having a break from this dynamic can help clear the parental veils that I feel have come up that are clouding my vision and my reality of that person and that person's reality of me. It's like, how will this be without that bullshit of that conditioning? As much as it's been helpful this time, it's like, that's one thing.
May I ask you, just before we're moving on, when you say that there's something in the meeting that is off, how does a real meeting feel? How do you know that something is off in your body, in your direct experience, not in thoughts of we should la 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 in your mind, but in your body? How does that dissonance feel, and how do you expect it to feel if there was a real meeting? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, it feels depleting.
Yeah.
And it feels completely like unreceived. It's like there's just this,
yeah,
like totally and it's not about being misunderstood and that being a problem, but it's just like totally like not hearing what I'm saying. Like, just, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, but
I know what it feels like when I'm with a friend, and when I'm chatting with you, I know.
Yeah, exactly. It's about because if you always feel that you're not heard, and you always feel that the love you give is never received, and it's like that with basically everyone, then you know it's an I issue. You know, it's you need to look at that. But if there's something particular with some people that they represent something deeper than just a partner or a colleague or a friend, or they represent something deeper, and you feel that the love you give is not received, and the things you say or the direction you want of the conversation, it's not going in that direction that you want it to go. Obviously it's still about you, but it's a layer deeper, if you know what I mean. Because it reminds you of something.
Yeah, which is where I question the parental projection.
Yeah.
And also because I do see that. I do see that there is a bodily shift in me quite a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I know from what this person said that, and from how things have unfolded and happened, that I see it. It's like we're both so much more playful and different naturally. And then we come together and there's just this.
Yeah. It's very much about setting you free and setting them free, you know, but also setting the parental figure free that you want. For example, let's say you want daddy's love, so you find a partner that you really have to fight for feeling love from, just like you had to do with your dad. I mean, you need to set all three parties free. You know, you need to set dad free. He's never ever gonna love you the way that you need it. You need to set the partner free that, you know, he's never ever gonna do it the way that you want it. He's gonna do it the way that he does it. And set you free that are limiting your receiving of love to a very, very narrow way of receiving. I had a woman in a course once where all she wanted was her dad to say, I love you. And he didn't. He only gave her power tools. And it wasn't until that we talked about it, but if he cannot say it with words, how would he, with his entire life, his upbringing, the person that he is, if he cannot use words, how would he describe it? And she was like, fuck, he would describe it with power tools. So she found out that there was lots and lots of love coming all the time from her dad, but not the way that she needed to receive it. And it's about setting, you know, everyone free, you know, including yourself. Thanks, Dad. Another saw, electrical saw. Thank you. I love you too.
So in that, over the past few years, I feel like I've been saying yes to it, to sit in the fire of everything that's come up with it. And I wouldn't change any of it. It's been like alchemical, just, you know, that just, yeah. And there's been a lot of times where I felt like having some time apart from each other would be really helpful. But then I wonder if I've gone into this kind of bypassing it and labeling it as a Fetter 5. Is that a version, Fetter 5? Mm-hmm. And telling myself that I'm going into aversion by giving ourselves time out from this thing. And now I'm like, I might have just fallen back into that old pattern of thinking I need to stay in something toxic because I'm just calling it a Fetter 5, when actually this voice is now going, have a fucking break. Stop. Like, no more. Like,
yeah,
this part of me is just like in self-abandonment going, stop it. Like, come back.
Yeah.
What is it that makes you go up to the head all the time instead of having that clear bodily voice of fucking body, no, not want to do, I don't want to. Why do you go up and minimize the experience in your mind and talk yourself into things that, what is that about? What would happen if you go like, no more?
Yeah, I think it's because of a lot of the it's just been the most, like, if I could paint a picture of my journey from like the big shifts that started years ago to now, and it'd be like this 3D experiential picture of the people that have come in and everything I've experienced. Yeah, this person has been like it's attachment to one of my sort of last anchors of safety of having known. It's like the coping mechanisms of bulimia and alcohol and spending money all dropped away when I'd met him. And I was totally destabilized.
Yeah.
And I ended up living with him. And he's just been this beautiful, creative, grounded support with a routine. He's a furniture maker, you know, he's just this really lovely being. And yeah, he's provided a beautiful space for me. And I feel like that's what's partly been like, it's like my sweeties. It's like, yeah, I surrender, but not that bit.
So what does it bring up for you in the body with that I will surrender but not that bit, with that feeling of what you're going to lose by putting this on pause? Is it how do you feel what comes up?
It shifts at the moment. So when there's clarity, when I'm not in the head story stuff, in the waves, is a feeling of abundance. It's a feeling of anything's possible. I have no idea what this is, but it's like spaciousness.
Yeah. And if the head starts to do its job and come in and create all the stories, then what happens to it?
It's a loss and like a part of myself. It feels like in the heart area, it's like that's like I'm having to give that. I'm having to leave something behind.
And it's beautiful that you've had that experience, and it's beautiful that he was there for you. And there, it's not to say that in the future, maybe, something will work out again. It's just in this moment, being aware of how you really feel in the body without all of the stories locking you into needing something to maintain, because it helped you get past these dark times.
He's also leaving the raft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the Buddhist metaphor of, you use the practice to like a raft to cross the river, but then once you've crossed the river, you don't carry the raft with you all through town. It's that same idea that, the raft was helpful back then, but in this moment now, maybe it's not as helpful. And, I'm sure he's still a beautiful person. All that has nothing to do with him, as you said. It's just the dynamic of what is happening between you two or within you in this moment, and then responding to that as opposed to responding to the stories of how things used to be and the fear of how things might be without him. Because I'm assuming there might be some fear about regressing in, some of these things that he seemed to help you let go of. Is there concern about that going forward without him?
No.
Good.
No, he doesn't feel like a crutch for that. He doesn't feel like, yeah, that's all just.
I'm also thinking about the whole identification thing. If we keep it at the non-dual and about identification and attachment, that the Sophie that went into the relationship had a certain type of identification, and in the relationship that the hooks to that identification, to the alcohol, the bulimia, the shopping, the consumerism, all of that was detached. And a lot of other things that you haven't mentioned was detached as well. which create a completely new starting point.
Mm.
And together with him, you started to create into another identification, which it seems like now you are at another point. You are at the shore, and it's time to detach all of those types of identification. And again, it's got nothing to do with him at all.
Yeah.
It's just the identification, the very subtle identification that you have in your life now. You can feel it feels toxic. It's holding you back. You are not expressing yourself the way that you want to express yourself. So again, just like it was back with the bulimia, where there was no expressing of you, it was lots of attachment to that. Now it's just a different type of attachment, and it's just unhooking, setting free all the things that you believe yourself to have become. And in that, you're also setting him free so he can do the same.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have a good relationship, you're gonna, still develop together, not as a couple, but as really good friends that can support one another, that knows one another really well, but where the unhooking has happened.
Yeah. Feels really exciting. It feels just like, oh yes, come on.
Yeah.
It feels like life's like,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Exciting. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's like that for everybody who's here, all of us. It's like that we're still attached to things that makes us view ourselves and the world in a certain way. And some hooks are very easy to detach. And the moment that they are not, attached anymore, it's just freedom. And that is life expressing itself, where there's no limits to it and it can take you anywhere. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Keep us posted on everything.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Sophie.
Sophie.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so nice seeing you.
You too.
There's Linda. Hello, my
Hello.
friend.
How are you?
First time
Hi.
meeting you here.
Hi. Yes, yeah, I'm not even sure what to ask.
It's okay.
But I just found your YouTube channel and website just a week ago, and I've watched maybe 5 or 6 videos. Obviously I'm brand new to Fetter work, and but as I'm listening to the videos, I realize I've been doing Fetter work all along
Yeah.
in different ways. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I've been exploring. So I would like a little bit of advice about how to kind of get started. Do you go through the videos in order? And like I said, I've just kind of been poking at them. So if you could help me get started, and then I have maybe a question about the
Yeah,
meditation that you led us on.
sure,
So
sure. It's very much individual of what actually works for you. For some people, it really works doing Fetter 1, lesson 1, take out a notebook and write everything down, do all the exercises, do inquiry, implement it into their lives, and then they move on to Fetter 2. For other people, it helps, flip-flopping between things, and that sounds interesting, that sounds interesting. I would say that the most important thing is that whatever you're doing now, if you have a routine of morning meditation, let's say, that you just start to do some of Todd's inquiries as the morning meditation, because they will plant a little seed. And no matter which of the lessons you listen to, in whichever order that you decide to do, that little sprout will start to to germinate. It will start to happen. And then come to the Q&A every other Friday, come to the inquiry here every other Tuesday. Vince, he also has a group on Saturdays, which is really, really good for first fetter, seeing through self. It's an amazing group. He used to guide in LU, which is Liberation Unleashed, but instead of guiding one person at a time, he now has a full group and is guiding everybody at the same time. So I can recommend you that as well.
And I saw a part of a recording with him on YouTube, leading that guiding. So yeah, it was beautiful. There's so much to tap into. I appreciate everything you're offering. And I want to find out more about the retreat that you have coming up. There might be some information on the website that I can look into as well.
Yeah,
There is.
absolutely.
Actually, I should post that in the chat, the website page, because that would be helpful.
Yeah, it would. It would.
Let me just.
Or maybe Leela could do that.
Leila, are you familiar?
I don't have it. You didn't.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure if you're actually familiar with the website. Sorry if you can't.
No.
Yeah.
Todd, I love the inquiry that you led us on today. I have a question, and maybe you can help me sort through a couple things.
Absolutely.
Is it okay if I ask that here?
Yep, absolutely, 100%. Let me just post this in.
Okay, yeah.
My undivided attention.
Yeah,
it's in the members part of YouTube. You guys posted it in the members part of the YouTube too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
There's also, is it just me? Where is the chat? Oh, there's chat. Hold on. So having troubles with this.
Thank you so much, Yahira. Yes, we did.
Yeah. So okay. So the link to the website with all the information is now in the chat. And now the meditation.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I just have a question. I don't know what all the fetters represent and mean and all that, but I'm, like I said, I'm just kind of playing around with a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I love the inquiry that we did today, and I'm assuming I can find those somewhere in the channel that I'll pick those out as I can.
Yeah.
But the inquiry today, there were so many parts of it that were just beautiful. As I was looking at, I think you said to look at it to a scene.
Yes.
You know, which I've got my computer, and then I've got all these trees in my backyard, and my eyes were open, and as I'm looking at the trees and the greenery, and I soften. I think you even said to be relaxed. You know, my like things started to flip-flop, like the distance starts to collapse, where the trees that look like they're far away, it's like they're trading places with the trees that are near. Yeah. Like, and then I can even see through the tree. Like I can see the second tree behind the first tree, like the first tree is invisible. And it doesn't last very long, but I try not to go into like a state of where I'm just staring.
Yep.
And I'm not even sure what you asked, but I was just exploring into that. And then I felt like this felt separate. So I guess that's maybe where my question was. I had a sensation in my chest, kind of my heart area. And that's what I think I am feeling is me. Yeah. Like this sensation in my chest, but I don't know why I think it's me. It's just a sensation.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
But yeah, why is it me?
I know. And that's is exactly the question that we ask so much. And instead of just asking it and kind of waiting for an answer to mentally appear, we put so much attention on that sensation that it just becomes clearly apparent that, oh, this is just a sensation. And then that's why we try to especially if you go on to, because we have two channels. So there's the Awakening curriculum, but then there's also, are you familiar with the Unfettered Mindfulness channel yet?
I haven't found that yet.
Okay, because that's where I have like all of the
all the inquiries and meditations are there.
Okay, and that one's on YouTube too, just a separate channel.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right, I'll look for that today.
And that's actually where, so this gets put up on that. It's a little bit confusing because originally Pernille had started the Awakening curriculum. I had started the Unfettered Mindfulness. we've
Merged.
synthesized and merged in a way
Okay.
where there's still some things on there, some things on the other. And so like this gets posted on the Unfettered Mindfulness channel.
But you can
then
also find it on my channel.
But she shares it on the Awakening
in the
curriculum.
playlist
So
you can find it. So
yeah.
it's absolute confusion.
What people don't often realize, I think, or sometimes realize, is that the stuff that's in playlists on the Awakening curriculum channel a lot of times are bringing you to videos that are on the Unfettered Mindfulness channel. And so you're actually like a lot of the inquiries and stuff are in playlist there, but are bringing you to the other channel. So anyway,
so no wonder I'm confused, right? No.
yeah, exactly. So
it's okay.
Everything we can to confuse you.
Yeah. Giant smoke. No, but that's when we're doing the inquiries. That's why I'm really I try to often bring up the fact that we only have 5 senses through which to view all of our experience. 5 sort of physical, external senses, and then the 5 that are in the mental world. And when you're investigating this feeling in the chest that feels like me, that's when you feel the sensations in the most like apparent, raw, uncluttered way possible to really feel what's there. And then notice at the same time if you're having mental images that are about your face, your body, if there's like associations to it that there's maybe this kind of subtle memory of something that happened that gives you a similar feeling in the chest. If there's some sort of mental narrative that's going on, being really aware of your experience to see in which of these 5 sense fields there is something happening which is supporting this feeling in creating that illusion of me, that this is me, because it's not going to do it all by itself. By itself, it's just a sensation. So it's collaborating with something else in your experience that's maybe flying a little under the radar, just hasn't really been noticed yet. And so once you notice that this sensation is clearly not me, then it's like, well, what else is here that's maybe supporting that sense? And then getting clear on that. Oh, okay, well, there's a memory. That's just an image showing up in the mind. Oh, that's just a sound in the mind, whatever else it is. Getting clear on each one of those breaks the sort of me connection to that, so that you end up with just a bunch of parts floating in space. You have sensations, you have mental images, and you have sounds, but none of it gets tied together into that me.
Okay, that's very helpful. I think, and I scheduled a session with you. I think it's next month. It probably shows up on your calendar, where we can explore some of this. And obviously, by that time, I'll have had a chance to go through some of the other things that are on the channel. Yeah, because that sensation, the more that I feel into it, it's like it's locked in with something else, like that you said. There's like a little something that hooks it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you just want to be really clear in your experience, like in the moment. And it's not going back to like other times. Well, I think it used to be this. It's like right now, what is creating this sense of feeling like a me right in this moment now? And then breaking that apart. And then
it's also about that recognizing that familiarity that we keep talking about, that just because there's like tension in the neck all the time and you keep feeling there's tension in the neck again, that tension is tying into an idea of an I always have tension in my neck, or I have pain in my lower back. So it's that tension in the lower back that we then put a label on and say, this is me. This is Linda here and here. Where when you really look into it, it can't be. It's just a tension.
It's like a memory. It's like it's like there's a memory of me, but there's not really me.
Exactly. And what is that memory even made of? Is it a visual memory, an auditory memory, a scent memory, a taste memory? Is it a memory of like that, the familiarity, as you said, like it's a memory that, this sensation has been here in the past. I remember this. This is what it feels like to be me. And so that's just one to recognize, that's just a felt that's just one felt memory, which is creating this sort of illusion. But
Right.
and just breaking it apart into its constituent parts.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I would really recommend you to do the feather starting in one and do all three feathers, and then kind of like take a break and look back on it. See if there's anything, that you need to catch up on. Ask into it in the other groups to kind of like find out where you are, and then move on with 4 or 5. But really have the foundational feathers, because it sounds like you have a really good grasp on it already. It sounds it sounds like you're very clear on what it is and what it isn't. So go through that, so you kind of have like things in boxes, and you you can ask specific questions.
Yeah. And I think on one of your videos, maybe it mentions having a guide. I'm not sure how all that works. I did go to that LU. I requested a guide last week. I don't know how long it takes them, but anyway, I'll figure all that out too, how that all fits in.
Yeah. Otherwise, in Vince's groups, there are lots of guides there.
Okay.
And you might speak with somebody or hear somebody talk and feel a connection with them. And then you can just reach out and ask if they want to be your guide.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, thank you for all of this. And I'm really curious about how this will all unfold. I think this meeting is I think it goes on for a couple more hours. I'm not really sure. I probably won't be able to stay on.
You can come and go as much as you want. You don't need to stay. You can come and go as much as you want.
Yeah. What time zone are you in?
Eastern.
Okay. Because I think you said the meeting would go until 3 or something. Okay.
Yeah, so it's about another hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah. I won't be able to stay on, but I'll check out the recordings, and I have a lot of stuff to look at. So
yeah, and just small caveat for LU, for Liberation Unleashed. So it takes anywhere from like days to months to get a guide, depending.
Yeah, I kind of thought so.
People are waiting. But the other thing is too, you're always, free to ask for a new guide if you don't vibe with the one that you get. Some of them are like into doing kind of fetter work and doing this stuff. Some of them are not. So depending on
some of them are absolutely not.
Some of them are absolutely not. So it depends on who you get as to like, how they're going to want to work with you. And, that's up to you as to whether you vibe with that way or if you, just need to work with somebody else. So
yeah. And I'll check out Vince's group too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you get a link to join that. Maybe it's on the website, but I'll look at that.
Yeah. You just write to Vince.
Do you have his?
I'll post that right now.
Thank you so much, Lena. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good having you here. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again soon.
So lovely with new people.
Yeah, it is.
It's really nice.
Phoebe.
I remember when Phoebe was new people, and now she's Phoebe.
Now she's Phoebe.
That's right, I am. Can you hear me okay through the Bluetooth?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. I wanted to, first of all, say to Sophie, I so resonated with what you said, like on so many levels. And I look at my relationship now with I've been involved with a man for 4.5 years now. And I met him after 10 years of being alone, after my 31-year relationship ended. So I was with my husband for 31 years. The marriage broke up and I was 10 years on my own. I didn't date, nothing. I was shut down. And then I met this fellow. And Sophie, like you, when I met this guy, John, I was coming from the place of such desperation and shut down. And I was so isolated. And I chose someone who I had nothing to lose, because if it didn't work out, who cared? And for 4.5 years, I was like, why am I in a relationship with this guy? Like, why did I choose this guy? Could have chosen anyone. And then I started doing the Fetter's work. And what I realized was, oh my God, I have just been scared of letting him see who I am for 4.5 years. So I started letting him see who I am, and he's a lovely human being. He's just lovely. He's lovely. He's like gentle and tender and compassionate. And I'm like, I actually got a pretty good. I mean, how did I end up getting such a good apple? It's so amazing. So I'm very, very close to my sisters. And Sophie, I was bulimic for 24 years. It was a big part of my survival mechanism and coping mechanism in life. And I'm very close to my sisters. And my one sister, directly older than me, extremely close to, and won her approval and everything. And yesterday, my partner and I were walking, and he said, I want to bring up something that's really been bothering me for a couple of months now. And I'm not asking you to do anything about it, but I want you to know. I want you to know how I feel. When your sister said she didn't want me being at the sisters' dinner 2 months ago, that really hurt me. And it makes me not want to go to any of your family functions and not want to get close to anyone in your family. And I said, I'm so sorry. And I totally understand. And I didn't try to justify her meanness. It's, I understand her perspective. Her perspective is, my sister's so freaking manifesting her life, her reality. She's a shaman. She's a therapist. She is journeying people now on a regular basis. She's an amazing, empowered, strong woman. And she doesn't really have time for people who are shut down and hiding. And that's my John. He's shut down and he's hiding. He's a great guy. He just doesn't let anyone see it except his dog and me and a couple of close friends. But that's it. Like, the rest of the world is too scary and too hurtful for him. So he doesn't share in community. He shuts down. He's still a lovely person, but no one gets to see that. So my sister's like, yeah, you know what? Life's short. Life's short. And I'm not investing in relationships where I have to work too fucking hard to get something back. And what felt so great yesterday was, when we were walking, it was like, how great is it that he can share this vulnerability? Because he knows she's my favorite sister. He knows that my dependency bond is greatest with her. And it was so great that he could tell me how I felt. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I can fix that. I didn't say that out loud, but I felt it. It's like, yeah, Lucy's not, yeah. I don't think Lucy's ever going to take you into her inner sanctum. I don't see that happening. But I don't need Lucy to change either. Lucy's who Lucy is. She gets to be who she is.
Yeah, and what the only thing I would like to, I love your story. Sorry. I love your story. And I love the description of John, and I think he would be a great guy to go for a walk with his dog. I think I would love that. What I see is it's kind of like an image, right? And the thing that is missing in the image is the compassion. I feel very compassionate towards Lucy, that lives her life in a way where it's a zero-sum game, that if she's not getting something out of a relationship, she's not investing in.
Yeah.
That is
interesting.
That is yeah, I don't know what you call that. What would you call that?
I'm trying to be gentle with the words that come to mind, but I know what you're saying.
Todd, you don't need to be gentle. It's not gonna bruise me. It's not gonna bruise Lucy. Just be straight with me. Just be straight with me.
I just have a lot of compassion for people that live their life in a way as if it's an exchange.
Yeah.
Because it's so limiting. It's so limiting. If you only engage with people where there's something in it for you, that's not compassion or kindness, and it's not equanimity, it's not contentment, it's not any of the things that we're working with here. It's very limiting to being an exchange. She has clients, they pay her. If she's dealing with people on a social level, it needs to be an equal exchange as well. And she sees herself as higher. She's a therapist. John is not. He just likes Phoebe and his dog. I mean, what's in it for me? I really feel compassionate towards her. Oh my God. That must be so deprived.
This is not what she says. What she says is, the reason I don't want him present is when he's there, you're not present to the sisters. You end up taking care of John, and then you're not with us.
Is that true? Is your attention on John?
Yeah. Well, well, the last time this happened, that happened because she felt so unsafe and her husband felt so unsafe to me. I was like,
okay, stop. Right now we have to remember it's Phoebe who's here, right?
Yeah.
John is not here, Susie's not here, any of them are not here, you are here. What is your mechanism in the family? Are you the one that is trying to build a bridge between a man that can only express compassion towards his dog and you, and your sister, which you love dearly? Do you have a hook into your sister liking John and John liking your sisters? Are you trying to kind of like fade yourself into being? I would like for you to go back to the second fetter and read and listen to the teachings about the chameleon.
Yeah.
Because you're becoming invisible in that role that you're placing yourself in. You're not met when you are reading what John needs and trying to smooth out what Susie means.
Yeah. That's it. Okay, good. All right. No, it's because I'm also seeing, oh my God, like Lucy's toxic for me. She's so, it's like, God, am I going to be right?
Phoebe, my darling, it really sounds like you're toxic to you.
Yeah.
If you are trying to make John be somebody with your sister and your sister be somebody with John, then you're the toxic one for everybody. You're super toxic for you because you're not present as who you are. You're not allowing John to be John and Susie to be Susie and Phoebe to be Phoebe. It really sounds like you're the toxic one in that relationship. Instead of just, putting them together in a room, and if it explodes, it explodes. What is your skin in the game for it not to explode? And how is that related to your role in your childhood? You know, that there's lots of things to look at here. Go to the second fetter. Go through all of the lessons. When you have seen all of the lessons, start over again. There's more to pick up.
Okay. Okay.
Have I said anything to offend you in any way?
No, I love this. This, like, the truth is like the best gift I can get. That's the best gift, honestly.
It's said with so much love and compassion. I don't mean there's nothing good.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phoebe. Sydney.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
How are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you. And you asked in the meditation in the beginning where the eye was.
Yeah.
And when I tried to focus the eye, it was around my mouth.
Oh, interesting.
It was, yeah, it was, yes, it was not in the back of the head. It was not on the sides. It was not on the, was that chin? But it was clearly around here, but it didn't go higher up, and it was not the nose. But when I was asked to look with the eyes, it was like strange that that was not the part of the eye. Now that was the eyes, so it was kind of strange.
That's
so, yeah. But it could also be that I've had a lot of tension in the jaws lately. So, as you say, if we have a focus on the area, that could be it, probably. Is that why it's coming up around the mouth, or?
It can be, or it's you know, on a developmental level, it could be about the oral age. You know, when you are, we have the since we become, from we are a fetus and until we are around 12 years old, we have different developments that are happening in different stages. The way that we perceive the world and ourselves and all of the stories, our underlying belief and all of that is based in those experiences, in those issues we have had with embodiment. Around the mouth is the oral age. That is from pre-birth and until you're around 4 months old.
But I know that I was not having a, what do you call it, a insult. What is that?
Pacifier.
Yes, a pacifier. I didn't have that because I've always used my thumb. And I know I did that. And I did it until I started in school. And suddenly someone asked me, do you suck your thumb? And I was like, no. And then I never did it again. So yes, I guess there has been some kind of oral.
There's something about the oral. What adults come up, because we don't suck our thumb, you know, in public. So therefore we eat and we drink and we, you know,
chew pens
and bubble gum, fiddle about our mouth and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that is a note. But then I have another question. You talked about being the chameleon, and I've also listened to that video about the toxic starting point.
Yeah.
And your description there is that when I relate to that, I'm mostly like the passive aggressive bully.
Yeah.
But I've always sort of like, okay, that I am, but I haven't been able to sort of pair it together with where am I manipulative. And then suddenly the other day it hit me. I was writing a message, and then it hit me that I was really trying to get the other person to do something that I didn't found myself worthy of asking.
Yes.
So what is it that so when I see that, I was kind of laughing when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I corrected no, because the message was sent, but then I wrote another one saying that I can clearly see that I'm not expressing what I mean.
Yeah.
And then I expressed what I mean.
Yes.
But
go soon.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But when I see that, because I assume that in the next time I will see much more of these instances where I do it, because I haven't been able to see it clearly. I've known that I've done it, but I haven't really seen it until the other day.
Yeah.
So when I see that, is that acceptance and compassion and laughing and correcting?
All of the above. Except correcting, all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. Whenever we see through an underlying belief, it becomes so apparent that this is just a belief. This is just a belief. It's not true. It cannot be true. You can ask directly, would you please give me a hug? And thank you, babe. And then you get a hug. You can very, very clearly ask about what it is that you need. And if you feel that, no, I can't, this is my colleague, and it would be rude if I ask him to work over this weekend, and it wasn't really me who should do it, and all of those thoughts that you have, then you're still at the place where you are very, very clear that this is just a belief. It's not true. Somebody else would just ask him if he would cover for me this weekend. Somebody would just ask it straightforward. It's just a belief. And the moment we see that clearly, we are starting to unhook the process, and then laughing will happen, and crying will happen, and freedom will happen. All the suffering that was tied in with the belief is released.
But as you say, not so we do agree that, because I was close to thinking, oh, I need to explain myself. But then I stopped myself saying that this is for me.
Yes.
Yeah, but
good catching. I love that. Good catching. Because going into the verbal indicators of blaming, shaming, complaining, and explaining, it's just another diversion. So now you're aware that you're manipulating. So instead of being aware of manipulating, you're diverting from that by explaining. Go you. You caught two in one go.
It's an internal process of seeing that I do
just a belief.
Manipulate.
Yes, it's just a belief. You believe that you have to manipulate to get your needs met.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a belief. You don't. You don't need to manipulate. You can be completely clear. You do not need to explain. You can be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was funny because it's so many months since I heard the video.
Yeah.
And I thought that's me, but I didn't really see when it was me.
Yeah.
And suddenly I saw it.
It's just like that. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's also a thing that I really want to emphasize for anyone else, that it's not in doing the work that it happens. It's when you relax about it. It's not when sitting in deep meditation that it happens. No. That is where the work happens, but the insight happens when you relax about it. So it's when you do your dishes, or when you write a text, or driving your car, or it's when you relax into it, that then it's allowed to be expressed, because there's no forcefulness about it anymore. So love that. Love that.
Good. Well, thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you so much, Susie. Well done.
Well done.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
I just need some tea.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Åsa. Du muted.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Much better.
That's better. Yes, I had also a story about this discovering after listening to the second Fetter, I think 2 times, the whole Fetter, and the third time, and just going, I thought yes, I've heard everything about these 3 types, and no, I don't know if that's me I'm not a bully, some things in the passive aggressive. And then this third time when I came to the chameleon, suddenly it just hit me. It's so strange that it takes so many times of listening for things to sink in. But then it was just this feeling that when you talk about it's just the being in the now that is the difficult, just being in life. It's exactly what I'm struggling with. Yes, it's a bit the past and a bit the future, but it's this being in the now that is so difficult. And it was such a relief to get some words that match the feeling of it. So, and I was listening on the subway. I like to, when I go back and forth to work, I usually listen to the Fetters, and I mean, just the tears started falling, and it was such a relief to feel that, aha, this is what it is, and then also the feeling that I feel different with different people. It's like I have no solid center in, and it has been so disturbing my whole life. No, I'm being with that friend, then I feel in that way, and then I'm with that friend, and then I'm with my brother, I feel another, and I with my son, I feel in another way. It's like I'm just and identifying with what I think they see in me.
Yes.
And so it's quite much to take in, actually. Because
what I wanted to say, as a support, I can warmly recommend you to do the first Fetter, but instead of seeing through self, then really discover the self and make it into a solid thing. Work with clear boundaries, work with all the self-care in the third Fetter, all the self-care for the non-self, all the things where you appreciate and take care of, make sure that you're hydrated, that you get sleep, that you go to the bathroom when you need it. When you need a hug, you ask for a hug. Go to the dentist, sort out your finances. All of those things that are self-care for the non-self. Make sure that that is completely solid. So use the first Fetter material to become aware of where is, clear boundaries. Where is also all this? Because you need that before you can let go of it.
Yes, because the first Fetter is just it's just circling in my head. I don't feel it. I understand it intellectually, but it doesn't talk to me.
No.
In some way.
No. And it's because that part needs to be developed first. It's such a luxury when we deal with people that can let go of the self, because that means that there is the idea of a self, of an independent self, of a person with clear boundaries, with needs that are being met, and that we can let go of. But for some people, it's the opposite. You use the first Fetter to create a solid something. So you're not just blowing with the wind, and so create the solid something, go to the third Fetter and make sure that you have all the basic needs met. Go to the sixth Fetter, that is about boundaries. Here is Åsa. And then you can go back to the second fetter, look more into the trauma, and then back to the first where you dissolve everything. But the work for you, it sounds like right now, is to get that solidity around you.
Yes, there's something there because yeah, I tried to work with the trauma as well, and I work also with a therapist, but mostly I think it's much better to work with the traumas through better work actually. And there I get some keys to why I developed this pattern.
Yeah.
And that's really I'm in the age of 2-3 years old, and with my mother in an apartment, and it's really not very good place to be. But I try to work with that as well. And just to be there and make space for and if I can see myself and hug myself and actually sit with myself.
Yes.
But it's so much sadness, so much sorrow.
Yeah.
And some days I just feel like, oh, I could think of but I think of somebody I love, and I just starts to cry.
Yeah.
I feel like it's ice break. The ice is
melting.
melting. Yeah, inside.
I love that. I'm so happy you're here. I mean, all the material is available. And also, if you need, Todd has one-to-ones. I want to say that you have worked with people that have had the same experience as Åsa, where they come to you and think there's no self, and then you find out that they
surprisingly common, that just never developed one to begin with. And on the surface, when they start investigating non-duality and stuff, it seems very resonant, because it's like, I don't even have a clue what they're talking about with the self. I've never felt one before. Ultimately, it's usually from trauma, PTSD, something like that, where it was just that stable sense was never developed, and then it leaves us in a place where we don't really know how to navigate the world, especially if we take away whatever identification seems to be left there. It's too unstable. We really need those foundational things to be in play so that we can get rid of the unnecessary identification and have those things come offline and still be able to live a productive, normal, functional, healthy life, and not end up having some unwanted ramification from it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's very much you like I said, you have all the material in the fetter. Just work with creating it. Go to the third fetter. Make sure that all the things that we're talking about with self-care is important. Sixth fetter after that. So it's about clear boundaries, and then you can start to dissolve.
Yeah, but that's really helpful, because I also had this question, because you sort of now and then warning to go further if you haven't resolved some stuff. But
different rules apply for you, my friend.
Yes, Thank you. Thank you very much.
One other little thing I just wanted to interject too. When you have that, because you mentioned about being different with different people, and kind of living up to their expectations of you, but just being aware in those moments too that it's your expectations of what you think they are expecting of you.
Yeah.
So you don't actually know what they're expecting, but there's this idea of yourself that is like, they expect me to be a certain way, and then you're giving them that expectation and then trying to live up to it. So notice the different levels of that inauthenticity of what really feels like it should be happening in the moment, and then the different layers of sort of mental manipulation that are happening to try to make the situation into one that feels comfortable for you for whatever reason. That I feel like I'm going to be unsafe in this situation if I don't behave in this certain way with this person, because I think that's what they're expecting of me. And so getting a feel for what feels uncomfortable in that situation if you don't do this, and see where your view of what you think they even want from you is coming from. Is even that true? So yeah.
Or why I feel threatened in
Yeah.
with some people. I hate triangles.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I was.
Yeah. Yeah. I can completely see that. If
Ooh.
as a chameleon where you're trying to become, you know, the color of the person you speak with, if you have, you know, a yellow one and a blue one, you keep shifting between colors and not knowing which one you are. I can
Yes.
see that. Yeah.
But then I also have this side sometimes just with groups. Yesterday I was leading a panel with in a conference with researchers. I mean, the devil could get into me, and I can be really what do you say, extrovert and playful in a way that I get surprised by myself, because that's another side, and there's something. It's just a playful side that has been pushed down.
Yeah.
That I feel is sort of bubbling underneath.
Yeah. Lovely.
Coming up. So
yeah.
that's
And
nice.
then I would also recommend you to look into that. What would happen if Åsa is the playful one, is the bubbly one? What would happen if you're like that? Because at some point that has been told off, told not to be. You will not be taken seriously. You need to be, you know, pull yourself together, act your age, and all of those things that we are told. So also look into that, into, like we talked about previously with Sophie, if you set everything free and you are completely free and everything that is holding you back is an underlying belief, then how would you express yourself?
Yeah, that's really it's a lovely thought to think.
Yeah.
When I was walking today, I was leaving my therapist, and I had some feeling about something that she said or I said, and something I was identifying with, and then I just felt like, what the hell? I don't need this. I don't need to identify with any of this. And it was just a moment of freedom.
Yeah.
Some sparkling freedom that just.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I'm so happy to hear it. It sounds like you're doing really, really well. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Love it.
I'm so grateful for it. All the
so happy.
lectures and
recording. Yeah. So happy. So happy. Thank you.
Good seeing you. Bye.
I was thinking we have Sophie and Sebastian on data from God's know where. Cleona, would it be okay? Would it be okay if we take Sophie and Sebastian first, because I think they're on data plan from Nicaragua, or a tent in a volcano, or hanging in a palm tree in Hawaii, or wherever they are right now. Is that okay? Thank you. And data plan is very expensive out and about. So hi, you guys.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
So
and I think we mixed the time today, so I think it started.
Yeah, you're not alone.
And yeah, some confusion because I went in the other meeting and then I was like, it's the other.
Yeah.
But it was anyway 1 hour too late. So yeah, thank you for having you. And today I would like to share something or put a question.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
And I think it is related to boundaries. And I feel for me it's kind of hard to define what is a healthy boundary. And I'm not sure if I'm like setting a healthy boundary or not. And sometimes if I set a boundary, I feel like kind of a bit guilty, you know, if I say no to people, like I don't want to go out for dinner, for example. And rationally, I feel like it's a normal thing to just say, no, I don't want to go. And I even don't have to explain it. But then, yeah, if I say no, I feel like, maybe I should have went, and I'm not that tired as I think. Am I really so tired? Or I make a long explanation, or I even invent a lie why I cannot come. Like, no, I have a telephone call or whatever. And yeah, I have like kind of this thing, but I feel I don't know where I am at this point. And also, if I'm too compassionate or if it's right to be compassionate. So it's been like, I would say, a long life topic. So even when I went to school, my brother sometimes said like, you should be more serious or more strict to people. And I was like making more excuses like, yeah, but the person feels alone or feels like this and that or whatever. So it's not fair to do like this and that, and you know, like these things. So I feel, or I could imagine it's related to boundaries, but I feel I cannot reflect or find like what's the matter inside of me. Let's say, yeah. And so maybe you can elaborate a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I completely get where you're coming from. It's there's so many things in what you're saying. When you take it as being compassionate towards the other person, it's oh God, there's so many layers in it. Because I recognize myself in it. It's about understanding and seeing the issue from the other person. So you're empathic on a level that is really cutting a lot of slack for the other person. And which is lovely and is beautiful and complimentary and all of that. But if it comes from a place of trauma in you, then it's a problem. It comes from a place where there is space, and it doesn't matter. You're free to eat my last apple. It doesn't matter, you know. Then it's another thing. But what it sounds like is that you don't have, and that is the clue to that it's founded in trauma. Because if you don't have a very clear body yes, body no to where your boundaries are, you are in no position to say yes to people stepping over because you have no idea where they are. You're in no position to give away the last apple because you don't know if you're gonna need that apple or not, if you know what I mean. So it's about getting, instead of being in your head, and this is where we've talked about this to endlessly.
Yeah.
Instead of being in your head and reacting, people ask, oh, so can I borrow your car next weekend? And you don't need the car, but you don't feel comfortable somebody else driving in your car. So if you have an initial, no, I don't want to do that. And then the mind comes in and say, oh, that's silly. And you should be more, you should share and don't be like that. Then it's very easy to work with because you have a clear body no. The problem is when you don't have a clear body no. When
it's more like you describe it. So I think there's like I can feel like resistance, and sometimes I go over this resistance. And let's say I had like irritation sometimes with people also at work, because I take it, and then at one point I stop being friendly.
Yeah.
And then everyone is like surprised, like, oh, okay, now. And then it's like a hard limit or thing. And so it's like, okay, now I stop, and then it's stop, and then I'm gone. And then it's like, what the hell? So I know that I take up too much. So I go over definitely sometimes go over the body, no. With the knowledge.
And the fun thing is that we believe, like you just said, we believe that I say yes, and I say yes, and at some point I stop being friendly. You believe that you have been friendly every time you said yes, but you weren't friendly.
Yeah.
You weren't friendly. You know what I mean? For it to be compassionate, it needs to be given freely. Otherwise, it's not compassionate. So you were not friendly. Do you see that? Yeah. So it's compassion and feeling into the other person's needs to be combined with your own needs. Otherwise, it's not friendly, and otherwise it's not compassion. So if you have a very clear, for example, let's say at work somebody's saying something and you can feel a very clear body no. In the moment, what I would like for you to do is say, can I get back to you on that? They ask, can you have the meeting on Thursday? And you're feeling, you're like, no, I don't want to do that. So you have a very clear body no, but you also know that that Sophie is very good at saying yes when she shouldn't. So what you do is you say, can I get back to you? I'm going to get back to you at the end of the day or tomorrow morning, whatever. But it's just for you to give you time to get into your body and feeling into, what is this about? Why do I struggle with saying no? What is it I think will happen if I say no? What is the price that I think, it will cost if I say no? And that negotiation, take it from the head and into the body, where you feel, what is this actually about? How does this actually feel? Because in a lot of cases, when you just allow yourself to feel what is coming up, it's sorted quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then it won't be a problem going to the person and say, you know what? The thing about Thursday, it doesn't work for me. And you're completely fine, completely clear. There's nothing. And they can say, seriously, and rah, 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 and all that. And you will just completely, I'm so sorry, it's inconvenience, but it doesn't work for me. But you need to you need to take it from your head into the body, feel in the body, what is this actually about?
And that can be another layer, I suppose.
Layer upon layer upon layer. And every single little thing you feel into, there will be like a little bubble of identification with its own full life.
So where could guilt like come from? Like if I know, I remember like a situation, it's not been recently so much, but like from my time in Germany, and then a friend was like, I want to go out for dinner tonight, and we kind of spent the whole day together, and I was like, no, I want to go home and I want to sleep, and I said that, and then she like repeated it like 4 or 5 times and like trying different ways, and I was like, no, 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 and no, 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 no. So I stick with that. But when I was home, I felt like should I went with her or not? So I felt like guilty, So I feel like, okay, what is guilt about? Because it should be natural.
Yeah. So what is that about? Feel into your body. Don't think. Feel into your body. When you think of the situation and you've been with your girlfriend all day And she says, do you want to go and eat? And you feel, oh God, no, I'm so tired. I just want to go home. She doesn't respect a no and ask you again. Oh, come on. It's going to be so great. Let's go and eat. And you say, no, I'm too tired. I just want to go home. She doesn't respect the no. And she says, come on, Sophie. It's been such a great day. Come on, let's go and eat. And you start to feel, maybe I should. And she doesn't respect the no. So she keeps pushing you. Why do you feel guilty?
To not meeting her needs, like feeling like she feels lonely and she wanted some company. I know kind of also distract herself, so like it's more like I'm not there for her in that sense. Maybe like I'm not a good friend, like in this way. And if you ask like that, it could be like deeper layer from childhood. Like I don't behave, I don't do what like what is told me to do, like that. Yeah, something like I could help.
It's lovely to have that kind of empathy and to, want to be there for other people. But it's also important to recognize when you are putting them before yourself and in not listening to your own needs. It's lovely to want to be there for others, but you have to also be there for you. And like I said to Osha, it's also important to recognize how much you really think, like how much of what you believe you are feeling from her needs are really coming from her, and how much is your assumed projection of what she wants from you. We have a way, especially, those of us who have a tendency of wanting to people please and step over our own boundaries and be there for other people. Often we tend to take upon ourselves that it's like we're the only ones who can be there to solve this problem for the person. And, they really, really need us to be there. They're going to be just utterly destroyed if I don't go out to dinner with her tonight. Like and it's all on me. Realistically, maybe she just calls up somebody else. Maybe it's a completely different situation from her perspective. Most likely, you are not the only thing keeping her from a night of abject misery. So keeping in check how much we're projecting onto the situation is also very, very helpful for people like us.
And yeah, and it puts you in a position where, even though it's very chameleon, it's very chameleon, where you're trying to make sure that the other's need is met. So you put yourself in a submissive position where whatever she wants, you're there, and she want to eat with you, you don't want to eat with her. Okay, I'm gonna eat with you. Like, it puts you in a seemingly a very submissive position. But the other way around, it puts you in a very arrogant position, as if you're the only one that she can eat with tonight. And if she's not eating with you, like Todd says, then she's not gonna be completely satisfied. So it's just a way to turn it around and see that it's just a belief. It's just a belief. The only thing that is true is that Sophie's tired. Sophie wanna go to bed. That's the only thing that's true, because it's the only thing that is happening in the body.
Yeah.
Can I have a
sorry. Yeah, I was also just saying, and it's also helpful to keep in perspective that if the other person is so self-centered that your needs of sleeping is not important to them, then there's an imbalance. Yeah, be careful. Yeah, there's an imbalance in that friendship or that relationship that you need to watch out for. If there's a pattern of you always catering to them and it not being reciprocated in a way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it helps to consider the body yes, body no, because if you say it like this, I can clearly feel where there is the limit for me, and it's like the same with other people. So yes, I have like an open heart, and I like listening to people, but some overdo. But then I feel like inside, okay, this is like kind of too much. There, I feel like they're overtaken my attention or my capacity, and yeah, to go there, I can work with, or what means work with that, but that's a good bridge.
Yeah, and like Todd says, also look into the relationship. It's always useful to turn around the situation. So you're with a girlfriend, she want to go to bed. How much would you push her for going out to dinner with you? You
Not at all.
probably wouldn't. No, you probably wouldn't. Which means that if it's okay for her to say, "No, I'm really tired, Sophie, I just want to sleep." If it's okay for her, it can only also be okay for you. So it helps sometimes to turn the situation around.
That's good. Yeah. And then still, if I feel the guilt, it's probably more like getting into the body, because I hadn't got the knowledge today from what I had last year. But was a similar situation, for example, with my brother, and he asked me to babysit. And I said like, yeah, I can do this and that. And then was like, not enough. And then I was like, if it's not enough, then you need to look for a babysitter, because I can do this and that's more than enough. And if not, it's not my problem. So I kind of set the boundary there, but I still felt very guilty because it was like a big issue, because they expected me to babysit longer, but I couldn't. So I felt like, oh.
Sorry. Guilt is an afterthought. Guilt is a head reaction, a thought reaction afterwards. It's a diversion from the feeling in the body that you have that is uncomfortable. You have crossed your boundary, you stood up for your boundary, and that makes you feel icky. That is very, very uncomfortable to stay in. So therefore you go into guilt because that's more comfortable.
Okay. So it's more about like just holding it, just feeling it in the body, the icky feeling.
Can you be in a body where your brother is so disappointed in his sister that it's not gonna help out,
And noticing also that, like, I love what you said about that the guilt is a reaction to that initial discomfort of crossing a boundary or standing up for a boundary, but also notice that guilt itself is not simply sensation. You need a story for guilt to exist. So even when you're sitting with what you feel like is the guilty feeling, just recognize that that is just sensation, and then notice what stories are coming up that are creating that narrative of guilt for you. Like, how do you label this guilt? It's because there's something coming up. Like, I should have done otherwise. He's going to feel this way because I didn't. And then you have to have a whole sequence of narrative that's creating that idea that what you're feeling right now is guilt.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing.
Still there?
I would have a little thing. Could it not, the dinner situation not also come from being a passive aggressive bully, by kind of seeing the tendency to manipulate in the other person and kind of realize on some deeper level that she wouldn't ask so much if there wouldn't be a different problem? Like, it's not about the dinner. It could be she really needs someone right now, but she can't express that. And because Sophie would maybe sometimes, I'm not sure, but have similar tendencies, that she can kind of feel that it's not really about the dinner, but there's something behind that the other person can't express. And that's where the compassion comes from, because she can see herself in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's not Sophie's, it's the girlfriend's. You know, it's great to be empathic and compassionate towards another person. And it's great to say, like Sophie did, yes, I would love to babysit, you know, for 5 hours. And then they say it's actually going to be for 11. It's okay for her to say, okay, that's too much for me. Just because they had an issue with saying to Sophie from the beginning, it's 11 hours of babysitting. They had an issue with saying that. That is still their issue. It's not Sophie's. So if they have an issue with expressing their needs, they should take that up with their therapist, not take it out on Sophie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Just quickly, where are you guys right now?
We're on one island, Nicaragua.
Nicaragua. I thought so.
Yeah.
Thought so. Yes.
Right.
Countries and data plan, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
But beautiful.
Lovely. Amazing. So good to see you guys. Enjoy your trip.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Bye.
Soon. Bye.
And lovely Cleona. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, what did I do? Oh no.
No worries.
Oh no.
Oh, Cleona is over there. No, what did you click on the
Sorry. No, well, I'm trying to get rid of this weird little box there.
do the little one first.
Because I can't.
Over here. Let me.
What do I do?
Let me, babe. You do like that. Then we
Thank
do
you.
like.
Unpin, remove pin. Okay, now where did
Where did everybody
Where
go?
did everybody go?
They're here. They're here. They're here. Move your finger, babe.
But,
And then we have Cleona here.
wait, but maybe if we
See? And then we go.
okay.
What?
Okay, that's still hey Cleona. How
Hello.
are you?
Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all good. Yeah, I'm a passive aggressive, but very disappointed that I'm passive aggressive because I really wanted to be aggressive.
Aspiring
Because
quite get there.
yeah, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm manipulative, but I'm so manipulative. I wanted to share that like there's a bit of confusion in me from one of your teachings about triggers, and it's maybe something I'm unraveling within me. There's like lots of it feels like narcissism in my family, and I'm also more empathic. I identify a lot with Sophie's issues of guilt, constant guilt, the guilt that keeps on giving. Also raised Catholic, so you know. Yeah, so I'm constantly like judging myself about being good and bad, or used to. And sometimes what has happened in the family is punishment by exclusion if you make it clear what you want. And I think especially if you have a lot of chameleons, it's very triggering when you ask clearly. And over the last 15 years, 10, 15 years, I've exposed myself a lot to Dr. Marshall Rosenberg's teachings and some very good teachers that, you know, practice getting clear on your needs. And that has helped me a lot. My question is, you know, at times other people provoke you and sometimes they are just assholes.
Yeah.
So how do I know? Because I don't want to be constantly gaslighting myself like, it's me, it's me, it's me. I need to look at my shadow. It's me, you know? Yes, it's me, but sometimes I need to tell someone, you're talking too much in a meeting. Can you please listen? Or, you know, something's happening in the body and I need to speak up for myself. How do I know where it's like, okay, this is something I need to work on, or yeah, I can work on it, but that person's also being a dick.
Okay, do it. Do you want to do you want me to be the bearer of bad news?
Yeah, I mean, I could just say.
No, I want to be the bearer of bad news. Yeah.
You do enjoy that. Okay, go ahead.
It's always about you.
It's always, yeah. So see,
Always
that's where
about
I'm
you.
like,
It's always about you. It can't be
right.
about anybody else. Yes, people can be assholes, but who is putting that label on them?
I think maybe an easy way to
Okay, you be the diplomat here.
Okay, I'll be the diplomat.
It's why we keep him.
No, just rip the band-aid off. I'm like Phoebe, I can take it.
No, so the I think the way that it's easier to tell if this is something that is a you issue or somebody who legitimately is taking up too much time and talking or whatever the thing is, how you react to it.
Yeah.
If in you it comes up as oh, he's talking again, he never shuts up. Why? That is about you. That if it's clearly like, oh, you know what? He has been talking for a long time. And yeah, I feel like other people aren't getting heard. And, maybe even have the, I just like to say, if that's coming from a place of just objective awareness where it's just like taking in facts and yeah, it seems to be, there's something there that doesn't seem, quite balanced or whatever. That's one thing. If in you.
And it's Cleona's role.
To say something. Yeah, sure. But even just the recognition of it is something that you can objectively see, but it doesn't trigger any sort of tightness, anger, frustration, irritation in you. If it does, that's an indication that there's something there that is coming out of you that is being seen, like there's something which is being reflected or pushed on or in some way you're recognizing that element in you and not okay with it.
Also because when we judge another person as an asshole, there might well be, there might be like 10 people that would stand on your side and go like, oh my God, about that person. But that person still has, wives and kids and mom and people who love them and think they're amazing. And so it is just an opinion. It is just an opinion. And other people think, I mean, we have the example with Trump, right? That a lot of people think that, he's a raging narcissist, but other people think that he's the savior, which means that there's not one truth to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an opinion. It's your projection of what the other person is behaving in that moment.
Yeah.
I get it. I think I will stop reacting after I pass the 10th fetter, which God knows how long that will take since the first fetter is taking forever.
I just want to say something as well, where you said that you being, the true speaker in the family and everybody are chameleons and they have an issue with it. A chameleon wouldn't have an issue with you being a true speaker. A passive-aggressive bully would have an issue with it. And a bully would have an issue with it. A chameleon, they're going to fall in with the wallpaper and trying to be as invisible as possible.
Right.
So it's more if you have passive-aggressive bullies that are not asking for their own needs to be met.
Right, yeah.
Then they have an issue with you asking about your needs to be met. How dare you being so selfish? Because they would feel selfish for them to ask for their needs to be met.
Yeah, so the solution I've come up with, so that was really bad news, actually, not just bad news, very, very bad news. The solution I've come up with is to wait till I'm not triggered and clean up my side of the street and then ask. Because I think that sometimes it's like the emperor what is that story where the emperor's nude? Sometimes you're on a big group and you can catch the feeling and you say something and everybody's relieved, like, oh my God, thank God you said it.
Yeah.
But if so that's also the gift of sometimes being the outlier, is to feel courageous to speak. But
there's two things I would like to add.
Yeah.
I don't want to support you in any way being a doormat at all. if you are in toxic relationships in any way that is chiseling into your feeling of worth and boundaries and everything, get out. You know, get away. Find a way to get away. Because there are relationships that are impossible to maintain a feeling of healthy boundaries and healthy exchange. Some people are just not there. So that's the first thing. And this community and the spiritual community has a tendency to be borderline toxic positive. And so I just want to make it very, very clear that if you're in a relationship with people that are toxic and you feel how it's chiseling in with your feeling of self-worth and self-esteem and boundaries and all that, get out.
Yeah.
The second thing, when you're in a group and like Todd was talking about, and somebody's taking up more than their part, if you are the group leader, it's your job to say something. If you're a participant, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And noticing also, as you were saying, that, you know, there are times when everybody's kind of waiting for somebody to step up and say something. And it might feel good if you are, you know, the savior that comes in and actually says what other people are thinking, but it doesn't. So it doesn't invalidate certain situations where something really, you know, could use a course correction. But again, it comes down to how you feel in you. It doesn't matter whether other people also feel that in them because they have their own shit to work through. It doesn't matter whether they are also just noticing it objectively without feeling any, you know, anger towards it and just being like, yeah, thank you for taking care of that. We only are dealing with what's happening in you in response to this situation.
And it's a really good point. If you feel like, oh yeah, I stepped up to the plate and I took care of that, you need to look at that as well. There can't be any kind of, you know, patting on the shoulder or any kind of ooh, because that comes from something inauthentic.
Yeah. No, this situation with the group was actually like very healing for me, because usually the reaction I got when I spoke is like exclusion. This was a group of environmental activists, and the leader asked for who disagrees. The majority, 58 people, were like in one direction, and 2 people, me and another person, were in another direction. And so she asked me to speak, and when I spoke, the group changed their direction.
Oh, wow.
Based on the way I expressed myself.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't believe in being the savior. I used to like to rescue, and that was like my fun job, but it's very draining. And I also have a little theory about people pleasing and women, about I'm perimenopausal. I think estrogen makes you more pleasy.
Yes.
And I think you just don't give as many bleeps, you know, as you age. And I think that's very freeing for women, because, but also that maybe that's how babies are kept alive, because we please and we look after and blah, blah, blah. Thank you. And yeah, I'll try and investigate my reactions, which is going to be very exhausting.
No, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. It can be like wonderful and experiential, and yeah, it can be amazing. I'm looking forward to hearing it, Cleona.
Me too.
Okay, it's getting there. It's getting there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good seeing you. Bye. Okay, let's see
if you start by unpinning here.
Yeah, I'm gonna unpin everybody, I think, and like go to speaker
over there.
I mean gallery.
No, go up. Remove our pin here. No, remove our pin, babe.
Oh, it's not pinned anymore.
Yeah, we are.
We are?
Remove
Where's
pin.
our pin?
Remove pin.
How are we?
Now we're not pinned.
Okay, thank you.
And now we pin.
Now we're pinned. Okay, and okay. That helped absolutely nothing.
Oh god.
Okay, what if I do this?
We need administration. No. Where did Jahira go?
She's up here, but your hand is down. Jahira, do you still have a question?
Pin?
I do, yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna add you to it.
Even if she doesn't have a question.
And pretend that all of this is.
Put that down.
All right,
put it
I will. But how do we get back to like the little?
I have no idea. I have no idea what you touched. Okay, if anybody's in doubt, this is not our peak competence.
The microphone.
I thought Leela was here. I thought Leela is doing this for you guys.
She is.
I'm doing it, but I cannot
They're undoing it.
do anything about that side of the equation.
No, she has no control over the ineptitude happening behind this computer.
It's your own stuff. It's your own stuff.
You might very well.
I have my boundaries. I'm on my side of the
And she might very well be sitting and clicking stuff, and we unclick everything.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna give up on this
Yeah.
because I have no idea how to get you guys back. Sorry.
Can you see me though?
Yes.
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
Good to see you.
So good to see you. So good to be here. I love everyone sharing. I love the people who are getting those little insights that just are these just beautiful moments of clarity that just lead to, for me, led to the moment. Especially like what Asa was saying, where and this leads to my question, where she had that moment where she caught herself and she was like, well, what the hell? Like, you know, you realize, well, for me, when I realized that, oh my God, I've been doing this all my life, where it's analyzing and thinking about it, and yeah, like, oh wait, I should think about them and I should consider this, and there's so much that, like, it's just nonstop. My whole life I've been doing it, and then the moment where it was just like, holy shit, I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to do any of that. That's all fucking made up. And like, it's so beautiful to see other people getting those little things. So here's my question. With the sixth fetter now, is it like, what the hell to even the labels of like, for example, distance? So like, oh, there's the tree out there and I'm here. There's a distance between us. Like, there's another fucking thing that I don't even need.
Yes.
Or like, I hear a dog barking and there's a dog and I can imagine it in my mind. That's a dog barking, and so even those labels of me sitting here, dog out there making that sound, like, so it could just be like, what the hell? I don't need any of those labels to describe this phenomena.
Yes.
Right? That's sixth fetter.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then like you were saying, like, in one of your meditations, like, can you sense that it's no distance, right? And then I was like, wait, but no distance, like, okay, so the distance is also the label, like distance or no distance is a label too, like no distance is a label too.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the if I could just like maybe clarify a little bit. So the issue is that distance implies two ends, right? Like, you have a line has to be defined by two endpoints. And so if you have a tree that's out there at a distance from you, it implies the you that is here separate from it. And even if you drop the label of distance and you just see raw experience what's showing up, just the raw visual image of green and brown and shape, there's an implication that we have that there is something in here which is seeing it, that there's something separate from the image, even if it's just little teeny tiny distance. There seems to be something which is not synonymous with that image itself.
Right.
And so with the sixth fetter, we're also investigating, is there some witnessing entity of any sort that is separate from the seeing, the hearing, the feeling, the tasting, the smelling?
Yeah, and it's really there was something that you said, I think it was in the sofa sit, where when I close my eyes and I imagine like where my foot would be, even that is a thought of like the image of my foot's down there at that distance. Like, so the thought is it comes from here looking down there. Like, that's the kernel, what'd you call it? Like, that's a little
little local
nugget in itself of all, there's a bunch of stuff in there in that little nugget or something that you said on the sofa set, Pernille?
Yeah, but it's also about, first of all, that when you close your eyes, and you do it now, if you close your eyes and you think of your foot, first of all, your direction in your mind is going downwards towards the foot.
Right.
And you might get an image of a foot in your mind. Now I want you to look closer to that foot. Is that even your foot?
Well, no, because I can't see it.
No, but if you zoom in on the foot that you see, is that even your foot? Because most times it's not even our own foot. And if you zoom in on it, it might have, your nail polish on, or it might have, some characteristics with your feet, but then it can merge into another foot. And whose foot is that? That you all of a sudden...
Right, because I'm just I'm imagining it with my eyes closed. I'm imagining it. It's just an imagination. But I'm also imagining that I'm the one imagining it, right?
Yeah.
There's something
like that's the part that's like hard to break, I think. Like how do I stop imagining that I'm the one that's imagining?
Well, so you investigate your...
I just want to say, so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, it's like we add a middleman that is not there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the brain.
Well, like someone was saying, right, that's what someone was saying, like it's a memory. That's a memory that has not, that's like constant and has never gone away, like...
Yeah, but also that's the brain.
Doing that.
That's the brain, period.
Yeah.
That's the brain. That's it. That's not an eye experiencing anything. That's the brain. There's receptors in the meat suit. The brain is collecting all the messages from the receptors and creating stories into what that is. There's a difference in what it is experiencing in direct experience, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, but it's still the brain experiencing it.
Yeah.
And then
I imagine my brain's right here doing that. That's the connection that's being made automatically. That's the brain in this head, in this skull, doing that. So I still feel like the locality, the perspective from the eyes connected to the brain.
Yeah, because we're still at that point using concepts, which is not really helpful.
That's true. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
If we're invoking an image of the brain, it's no different than invoking the image of the foot with the eyes closed. It's an imagination of something, which I guarantee you your brain does not physically look like the thing that you're imagining when you imagine your brain, right?
Okay, right. Okay, gotcha.
But the really important thing is investigating that feeling of being the one who, when your eyes are closed and you're picturing your foot, it feels like you're looking down at the foot. Investigating, again, in the five senses, which elements are appearing right now that seem to be locating you, the seer, somewhere in the range of the head. So you investigate, are there physical sensations there that are contributing to this illusion? Are there other mental images that are showing up that seem to be creating an image of you kind of nestled here at that distance? Feel the sense of distance itself. Like it's maybe easier to do this with your eyes open at first when you're sitting here staring out at a wall across the space. But if you try to get a feel of what distance actually is, I think it's more complicated in some ways than we give it credit for, because we have, yes, this sort of visual sense where the eyes are taking a two-dimensional image and giving shape and shadow and color. It's creating the sense of depth. But in an actual room, in an environment, we're also getting auditory cues. We're getting reflections back from other surfaces that are at different distances. And so just like, bats use echolocation to determine where they are, there are some people who who are blind, who are able to use echolocation to walk around objects and basically map an environment like that. So I think there's an element where that is also happening, and it's giving us this sense of three-dimensionality and being in a room as well, at a distance from other things. We also have the physical sense of the physical body itself, and those sensations feel distinct initially from the visual cues and from the auditory cues and all of that. So it gives us this illusion that there are all of these different pieces which are happening scattered all around space, and it's all being reflected back. And again, the key with the Fetter 6 is that there is this idea that there is something in here which is aggregating everything. It's hearing it, it's seeing it, it's feeling it, it's tasting, it's smelling, and it's the thing which is drawing it all together and knowing it all, recognizing it all, and being the one which is at the middle of everything. And so getting really clear on what senses are showing up here, what is giving you the illusion that there is something in this particular space, wherever that space actually is for you, at a separation from anything else. And the more we put our attention just on the raw, direct experience of each individual sense faculty, that sense can collapse, because then you recognize that all there is this sound that's appearing. And there doesn't have to be anything which is separate from it in order to hear it. Likewise, our visual field, likewise, our sense field. The sensation in your foot does not need another person to recognize that sensation, or it doesn't need a witness of the sensation to be felt. The sensation itself is the feeling. And it's that kind of recognition that we're getting at by digging into all the little elements that seem to be the witnesser, the me, that little me that's in there separate from everything else.
Okay, shining a spotlight on that sensation of, right?
Yeah,
and you did that at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
slightly. Yeah,
yeah.
It was a cross between Fetter 1 me and Fetter 6 me-ish.
I'm also thinking that I like what you're pointing at with that, really, instead of just assuming, just really slowing down and zooming in. So you start to notice all the small bubbles of identification that has a full life on their own. Like we talked a lot about as well. Because that is where it starts to become very, very apparent that it's just layer upon layer upon layer of identification that we're not even aware of that is happening.
Yeah. Okay. It all comes full circle, because the question that you first asked me, Todd, was what is it that's assuming yourself, that you're assuming to be yourself? Like, look at that, keep looking at that. So it's kind of it's coming full circle.
It really does.
Yeah, and then there's just such a freedom too, to, like, remember I told you, Pernille, about my stepmother and this way that I was identifying with her. I was keeping her, I was just thinking, like, fuck her, like, and then you helped me realize that, like, oh, that was just all me. And then so we've reconciled in a sense where I kind of just let it go. I don't need to think of her in any way. I could just be there and not have to think about. And it's just so freeing, because I don't have to think about anyone anyway. And it's so freeing to just not have to think about that or worry about that, just, you don't have to believe anything how she should be or how she shouldn't be or what she shouldn't say, if she likes me or if not. It's so beautiful to just live in a world where, it's such a relief.
Just
so thank you,
free.
guys.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
I
could
love that
see where
so
that's
much.
like how that's one layer, but it goes smaller and smaller and smaller until you don't have to believe that you're this thing looking down at your feet, you don't, right? If more subtle and subtle, kind of.
Exactly.
Okay.
But then even when you do that, even discover the little bubbles of identification. Like, for example, if you imagine your foot and you see your nail polish on your toes, zoom into that little bubble of the nail polish, because there's a little identification with the nail polish, with the selection of the color, the story about when you bought it, all the other colors that you have and why you chose that color. everything that you look at and zoom into, you will find those small bubbles of identification. And it's all of those that we can just unhook until it's just, silence. It's just equanimity. It's just stillness, simplicity, and contentment. There's nothing attached to anything anymore. All of it is unhooked.
Got it. Yeah, but there's something that says like you can't stay alive like that. You know what I mean? Like there's something there. I think that's when that fear kicks in, where it's just like, but how will you stay alive? Like.
but sweetheart, it's exactly the same.
Yes.
You're just not suffering anymore. You're
Right,
not
right.
invested. You're not invested in
Right.
being in a
Because I
certain way.
believe that I had to suffer to survive.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Thanks so much.
Oh, it's so
Love
good
you
to have you
too.
back.
Yeah.
So good to have you back.
Really
So
good
grateful.
seeing you.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Look forward to it.
Can I do this now?
Oh, it's mine.
Okay, and then remove our pen as well.
Yay! We got everybody back.
Everybody's here. Oh, that's good.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Jason. I saw your comment about not feeling bad about my lack of.
Took him forever to come in.
Yeah, and get the microphone and camera working. So
love it,
for that.
love it. Yeah. So good to see you guys.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely as always.
And what we have the retreat. Be aware of that. And then next week it's Friday. It's Q&A on Friday, and that's the only thing we have to say, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Muchas gracias.
Pernille?
Yeah?
Yeah, I will just write you a message in a text and you can look at it whenever you have time. It's not a long one. Yeah,
I'll
good.
do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.